What is up, YouTube? Good morning and welcome to Comics, Connor, and Coffee. I have my coffee this morning. This is a morning show that I'm very, very excited about. I've done a few episodes in the past on my podcast of Comics, Connor, and Coffee, but this is the first ever YouTube live stream. So this is a big deal for me, and honestly, I think it's going to. I wanted to create a show, a morning show, that combines a lot of the things that I love. Coffee, obviously, comics, not really. We'll get into those. I didn't grow up reading comics per se, but I like comic book movies, things like that. And then honestly, just sports, gaming, things that I enjoy. That's why Connor's in there. Also, it's a third C, and I'm a good Baptist preacher, and so I need 3 C's. That is what we're doing this morning. We are doing our first morning show. And we're going to just hang out together. This is a show that I want you guys to be able to get to know me, and I want to be able to get to know you. Eventually I want to be able to have some of you guys on the show, and things like that, get to interview you, get to talk to you, help you out with fitness advice or anything like that. This morning, we're going to be talking about what I would do to grow my game if I was a game publisher. So if I put out a video game, what would I do to grow that game? And so I'm super excited about this topic, but I just want to say good morning to you guys. Thank you for tuning in. If you're watching this on the replay, thank you. That means so much to me. I hopefully won't be long. If you're watching this on the replay, you know how long I actually go. But we're going to just talk about one topic. We'll have a little short break to talk about a quick tip for you guys when it comes to fitness, and then we'll close out. So let's get into it. So what we're talking about today is game publishers, so people that produce these games, that make these games and put them out for the world to have. And how do they grow these games? Or how would I best grow this video game? So first of all, I have not grown a video game ever before. I have no experience in this. These are just my opinions. So take that for what it's worth. These are my opinions. But let's take Rainbow Six Siege, for example. So Rainbow Six Siege is a game that I've been playing for a little bit now. I really enjoy it. It's a little bit smaller than like other games. I feel like Call of Duty. I guess I could check the numbers. I didn't actually check the numbers before this, but Call of Duty, League of Legends, things like that. How can they step into something like Fortnite or step into something like League of Legends that's more at scale? And it's big, don't get me wrong, but how can it go to even the next level? So my thoughts, and I'm going to share my window with you guys right now. We're going to do this nice transition right here. Boom. Transition swag. So I looked into how many players Rainbow Six Siege has so far. So they have 55 million people playing the game right now, okay? So if you take that, now obviously they make money from in-game content, things like that, but if you literally just take their player base, and let's say everybody got it on a discount weekend, so everybody got it for $20. Not everybody did get it for $20, but we're going to just do this for our purposes. Just in game sales, they have made $1.1 billion. So they have a little bit of play money for, now obviously you're paying infrastructure, like the servers you're putting the game on, the people that are helping run, design, operators, things like that. But they have a little bit of money to play with. And so here's kind of my thoughts on how you would grow a video game. First of all, it comes down to content. And anything that you're trying to grow, content is king. If you're not making content for social media platforms, for YouTube, Twitch, things like that in the gaming sphere, you're irrelevant, honestly, and you're not gonna. It's gonna be hard to grow, and you can't just try to grow organically. And so, you personally, as a game producer, need to make content, but also, I think there's a huge way that you can grow through influencers, and I mean influencers at scale. A lot of games use influencers, like they did way back when they did Ninja playing Call of Duty, like the Battle Royale with Black Ops 4, where to get the beta key you had to go watch a stream, things like that. You got influencers playing the game, and that's always been a thing. But I just choked a little bit. This is live, morning show. Just means I need more coffee. So, I mean influencers at scale. I mean having influencers, micro influencers who maybe aren't like huge influencers, maybe only have 1,000, 10,000, 100,000 followers on like Instagram or YouTube, and maybe only 100 concurrent viewers on Twitch or YouTube gaming. Doing micro influencers, but then also paying the big bucks to have the macro influencers play. And so I really think pushing your funds to those influencers, because micro influencers, I mean, you can get away with not paying them a whole lot, but you could send them some gear, you could show some love, and getting influencers, not just the top influencers, but influencers who matter in the first-person shooter genre. If you get Shroud, you get, guys who play first-person shooters that are micro-influencers that have, 10,000, 100,000 followers. You could get, 1,000 of those guys, and all of a sudden that spread becomes widespread, and you'll probably pay less than just a few macro influencers. And so getting a micro influencer strategy where you are giving them early access to content to play on their stream or play on their YouTube channel, and helping them create content, giving them the tools they need to create content for your game. Because I think we've seen that for a game to grow, you have to have the content infrastructure around it on YouTube. Fortnite blew up because it was great for streams. It was great. Influencers blew up on Fortnite, and with that, the game continued to grow. And so, if I was Rainbow Six Siege, I would get a bunch of micro influencers. Then I would take my macro influencers who are already producing the content. There are huge guys on YouTube like Coconut Bra, Get Flanked, Varsity Gaming, those guys who make content already. I would just show some major love for those guys. I would be trying to help them as much as possible. And help them create the best content they could. But then also I would go into other first-person shooters that maybe these guys don't play my first-person shooter, but they play, Call of Duty or something like that, and they're big influencers in that space. And I would try to get them to come on and do a stream once a month. I'd pay them once a month. Hey, do a live stream of Rainbow Six Siege, or make a video. Whatever the sponsorship looks like. So I would do that once a month for them. And if you get 30 big influencers and you do that every single day, and then the good ones, the guys that you really enjoy that video, their videos or their live streams, you do it again the next month, and then the next month. And the guys that you don't really like, or the girls you don't really like their streams or videos, you don't ask them again to do it. Also, I think a big key is telling them, hey, I want you to make the content that feels right to you. Like, I want you to be honest about the game. If you don't like the game, we're still going to pay you this money to make this content. But just be honest, because then it opens up a huge opportunity for you as a as a game publisher to communicate to those followers, like, if they produce a video that says, hey, I don't really like this game, here's what I think's wrong with it, and then you get all these comments that are like, oh, that's exactly what I felt about this game, and all that stuff. You as the publisher can go in and community manage in that. Like, hey, I'm so sorry that you hated this. With Rainbow Six Siege, there was huge server issues a few years back, and I'm sure there was a ton of content around that. And going in and apologizing and telling people how you're fixing it, I bet you grow just by doing that, even if it's negative content for your game. And so going in and community manage, not going in and flaming them, things like that. So also, I would try not only to get on podcasts that are Rainbow Six Siege related, but I would try to get on podcasts that are just gaming related, or even like culturally related, sports podcasts, things like that, like things that your player base also have interest in. Like sports is a big thing for young men, things like that, getting on, superhero podcasts, talking about entertainment, and just being on those podcasts, building your brand, that's a huge deal. And getting outside of the Rainbow Six Siege community would be huge for, or Fortnite community, whatever game you're trying to grow, this new game, NBA 2K or something like that. Getting outside that community, and interviewing on another person's podcast that is different. And I would try to do as many of those as possible. A lot of gaming podcasts are done over Zoom or on Twitch, so you can do them online. And I would just try to be on as many of those podcasts as possible, because it's all about just building up brand awareness, building up the content. And you're helping them create content, the podcast people, you're helping them create content. And also you're breaking into another subgenre that maybe you don't know about. So guys, right after this, we're going to take a quick break, and I'm going to tell you something about fitness. Right after that, we will continue our conversation. So if you want to get into shape, there are some things that you want to do, and maybe right now you're struggling because your gym's closed, and I totally understand that. That is so difficult right now. Your gym's closed, the place that you were working out consistently, you can no longer go there. And so I just want to encourage you guys with this. One quick tip for you. One, you can get in shape at home. You can build muscle at home. You can do exercises that are strengthening your legs and your glutes and your back and your arms and your chest. You can do that all at home. Quick tip for you though, if you need some extra weight, if you need some weight to put on your back or to row or to press, one big tip that me and my wife have found is loading up a backpack with textbooks. You can make this very, very heavy with textbooks. My wife's in physical therapy school, and so she has some super heavy textbooks. But you can load up a backpack, and these are great for goblet squats, for lunges. You'll still have to probably do some extra reps because it's not going to be as heavy as probably a barbell would be. I mean, you're not going to put 135 pounds in a backpack. I don't think it would probably hold, but you can add at least a little bit of weight. And so that's a quick tip for you guys. Don't be discouraged. We're going to have plenty of time when all of this clears up to get back into shape. But also you can stay in shape right now at your house, load up a backpack, and get to work. So let's get back to our conversation about gaming. So first two things I would do: make content, micro influencers, macro influencers, paying those people to produce content around my game. And I would be doing that every single month. I just think it's the most important thing. Two, I'd be on as many podcasts as possible. I would try to be in as many interview things, any gaming interviews, anything like that. I would try to be in. So the third thing, and this will be kind of probably the last thing that we talk about, is there's kind of three pillars of the player base of any game. There's the casual players, who are just there to have a good time. They just want to play for fun. They want to do random things, and just have a good time, which is great. That's what video games are for. Two, there's a competitive, player who wants to compete, but they're not like professional players. That'd probably be where I fall, even though I'm a bronzy. I like the competitive aspect of games. And then also you have the pro league. These are the guys who get paid to play the video game. And they are paid for this. They're the professional gamers. So you have these three genres, and you have to, I think, as a game publisher, honestly, and again, these are all my opinions. As a game publisher, you have to accommodate for all three. Now, for Pro League, I think I've heard this. I've watched guys like Devin Nash talk about how, for a publisher, Pro League really doesn't make a whole lot of money currently in the esports realm that we're in right now. Now, I did just see that Major League Soccer is teaming up with E004, which is the gaming for FIFA, to premiere their league on Fox. So that's going to be huge, and will probably drive a lot more for them to the Pro League. But Pro League in general just doesn't make a whole lot of money. But as a game publisher, you need to use that as marketing. Getting professionals and getting people to watch those streams is huge for you as a game publisher in the sense of marketing dollars. Like Devin Nash brought up that League of Legends Riot Games, who's the publisher for them, has basically made the Pro League just a marketing budget line. Because that's what it is. It doesn't make a whole lot of money, but it drives a lot of awareness, especially if you get good players in there. And honestly, for a game publisher, your goal is you should be telling stories to try to build the brands of these players, because if you build the brands of the players, you build obviously the brand of the game. And so investing your time in telling good stories about those players, not just the production of the game. It's way more about building out players. It's kind of what the NBA has done. I mean, they have just blown up their player base because their players, in their brands, James Harden, LeBron James, those guys have become superstars, and probably the biggest superstars, even more than Hollywood actors, things like that. They are huge. And so as a game publisher, you need to be trying to build up the brand of that of those Pro League players. Then also you need to make the rank scene of your game, the competitive scene of your game, the best that you can. And you need to be in the community. And this doesn't seem like it's going to help you grow the game, but you need to be in your community, searching out questions that people have or concerns that people have and answering them, addressing them when things are terrible. Being in the weeds with people will help your game grow. And then casuals, you've got to make it where people can just have a good time, relax, and kind of detox from the day. So guys, those are my three things. Influencers, you got to get a bunch of influencers on there. Then the second thing was getting on a bunch of podcasts. You as a publisher, building your brand, getting on podcasts, talking to people, getting questions from people, answering questions, being in there in the weeds. And then 3, growing your players in your Pro League, their brand, driving awareness to your game is super, super helpful. Guys, this was the first episode of Comics, Connor, and Coffee on YouTube. This is actually the 4th episode ever. But the first episode on YouTube, it was unpolished. You know, we haven't done this before. This is my first time. Really, I've live streamed once, but this is really my first time live streaming onto YouTube. So, you know what? This wasn't the best quality of video, but everybody's got to start somewhere. So that's where we're starting. I love you guys. I hope you've had a great morning with me. If you're watching this on the replay, thank you guys so much. I'd love for you to subscribe. I'm doing Building Athletic Assault every single week, where I'm just documenting my journey of building a business. That's what I want to do. I want to build a business, and so I've been documenting that journey. Obviously, we're going to do this morning show more often. So please subscribe. I would love for you guys to do that, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Enjoy your coffee. Peace.